going, everybody? Welcome back to the Diocese of Dallas road trip tour. Today, we are going to be checking out the Holy Trinity River. Why is it important? What are we checking out about it? It's just a river. No, it's important. Going back into the history in the early 1800s with the many small ethnic Catholic communities in the area. I'm going to trace back the history all the way back to the 1500s with the early explorers from Europe, the French and the Spanish, who came to discover the unclaimed lands here in the Texas area. Many of the early Catholic priests in the area were actually also French, news to me. But the original people here were these native peoples called the Cato Indians. Now, the Cato Indians had been here since at least 800 AD, and they were befriended eventually by these explorers, but were forced out because of many of the Anglo-American repressive natures of the expedition and them trying to lay claim to a lot of the lands. When they were doing so, they eventually were forced out. The Europeans came in, named a lot of the places, built some forts, named a lot of the landmarks, which is why we're talking about the Holy Trinity River. The Holy Trinity River was originally named Archicosas by the Catos, but the French explorer René Robert Cavelier, who, fun fact, named Louisiana La Louisiane after King Louis XIV, came and named it the River of Canoes in 1687. Just 3 years later, a Spanish explorer by the name of Alonso de Leon, I love saying these names, who is responsible for many of the Catholic establishments across all of Texas, came and named it La Santísima Trinidad, which is what it still has as its name, the Most Holy Trinity. The Trinity River is really important to Texas in general. It's the longest river that starts and ends within the Texas borders. And it's important to the Diocese of Dallas because it touches 7 of the 9 counties which makes up the diocese. Its squiggly line, the little white part of the coat of arms in the Diocese of Dallas, can be seen to represent the Trinity River, and it breaks it up into 3 separate pieces. The shield breaks up into 3 separate pieces to symbolize the Holy Trinity. Despite its holy name, the Trinity River can be kind of seen as an icon of a lot of the broken relationship between man and nature. Because of the fall, obviously, we all know that man has a disordered relationship with lots of things, nature being one of them. The Trinity River in the 1960s was declared septic because of the many herbicides and pesticides, human waste, industrial waste. It was just really, really filthy, like me sometimes when I wake up in the morning. And even after a lot of the cleaning efforts and the efforts made to kind of restore the purity of the water, you can still see a lot of the contamination is still there. And we as people have a lot to do with it. We have a broken relationship with nature. We see this cycle of man polluting the earth, and the earth will pollute us back, with the things that we eat and the water that we drink. It's part of life. In Genesis 2:15, we derive my favorite Catholic social teaching, care for the common good. Pope Francis in his encyclical, Care for God's Creation, and Pope Francis' encyclical is called Care for the Common Good, Laudato Si. And he notes that we are appointed by God to be caretakers and good stewards of this land. People, though, kind of see it as our ability to dominate these lands, and they think that maybe care for our creation is just for the tree huggers, the faint of heart, the people that are vegan or something. But Pope Francis encourages people to have a renewed sense of ownership over caring for what we have, the gift that God has given to us in creation, to kind of eliminate our maybe tendency to be consumeristic, right? He says there can be no renewal of our relationship with nature without renewal of humanity itself. It is quite clear that the Catholic Church should be at the forefront of a lot of these renewal efforts, including the Trinity River, which bears the Lord's name. It will once again, hopefully, be known as a wellspring of life and be a symbol of God's creation.